What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're recording on the Canon R6 with the 16f 2.8. I'm kind of ducking down, so you might see like stretchy hands. Look at that, stretchy hands up in the corners. Look at that. Look at that. So I want to talk to you guys about the Canon lens dilemma. Now, I kind of had an idea this is going to be a problem when I bought this camera, but I thought, nah, I'll find a way around it. And this camera, this lens issue is specific to me and what I'm looking for and what I need. And so let me explain. So I have a couple needs with my cameras, right, that are more pressing or urgent. One of them is to stay as light and compact as possible, because if it's too big and the lens is massive, I'm not going to carry it around. That's one. Two is to offer some kind of a travel zoom that, again, is not massive in size and still offers great image quality. And three, like, try to keep the price somewhat reasonable. And four, sports. Like my kids, they do indoor sports, and as they get older, they get faster, and so I'd like to buy one good piece of glass and kind of stick with it. And there's going to be outdoor soccer, there's going to be indoor hockey, there's going to be other things, and so I need to consider that. So here's the problem with Canon and the Canon RF system right now as it stands. Let me explain this. Right now they have either like ultra cheap and compact, which is awesome by the way, or they have big, heavy, and expensive. So on the ultra cheap side, like for primes, they have the 16-2.8, the 35-1.8, the 50-1.8, the 80f2, awesome. And then they also have like cheap zooms too, like the 24-240, the 100-400. They have a 24-105 like variable aperture, and those are all okay. The problem with those is that their image quality is good. It's not fantastic, and I'll time out on that. Just if I'm the three blind elephant guy, what's his name? Hold that thought, okay? The alternative is they have really expensive glass that's big and heavy. The 51-2, like amazing. But the thing's a freaking tank and it's super expensive. Even the 24-70 f 2.8, it's a big piece of glass. The 24-105, it's not massive, but it's not tiny either. I would say the one caveat is the 70-200 lenses, the f4 and the f 2.8. They're not nearly as big as they used to be, probably because they're externally focusing. And then, of course, they have the long range, like sports and wildlife lenses. And there's nothing really in between. Now, when I said hold that thought was you compare and contrast that to even Nikon or Sony. I'll give you Sony an example. Let's talk the 50mm focal length, right? They have a whole plethora of options there. I personally like the Zeiss 55 1.8. And that's not a big lens. It's got a fantastic character and rendering, and it's not that expensive used. There's Sigma options, there's Tamron options, like Tamron, right? For example, a 28-75 f 2.8 or a Sigma 24-70. You can get those for a lot less money, get great output, and some of those aren't so big and so massive. Like that would be a great travel lens. Even in the 70-200 range. Let's talk Nikon, for example. Their 51.8, it's not as small as the Plastic Fantastic that I have, but it's nothing like the 51.2, and the image quality out of that's fantastic. You know, they have the 21.8, which is a great lens. Canon and Nikon, two different routes, right? Canon went ultra premium pro, let's let it rip. Nikon kind of went more of like high quality, affordable, prosumer lenses, if you will. And so it's just different. So here's my point. I'm sitting here and I've got two immediate needs and I'm trying to buy a lens for. One, my son's going to start playing outdoor soccer. So I need a lens that's going to have some reach. And, you know, I'm thinking 70-200 is the right focal length. I have the option to buy the f4 lens or the f 2.8. No, I prefer the f 2.8 because if you're shooting sports, you want that extra stop of light and you get a bit more separation. Outdoor soccer for kids, is f4 acceptable? Probably. The f4 is, I think, like $1,400, give or take. Don't quote me on that. And like the 2.8 version's $2,500. That's a lot of money. So yeah. And then I'm going to be going to Mexico in the first week of June. And it's a trip that I won for my sales performance throughout the year, and I want to have the camera on me at all times. So size and compactness is important. But I also want to have some range, and I want to be able to have some faster if I'm doing some stuff at night. And I don't want to be swapping a bunch of primes around. So you go at 24 to 70 f2.8. That's a big lens, and it's really expensive. How about 24 to 105? I can find those used for decent price, but it is an f4, and that's probably the best option if I'm being honest with you. Now the other alternative is just put the 50 1.8 on it and just shoot the crap out of that, and you know, one lens, one camera type of approach. Although I'll want to shoot some landscapes, and I want to have the ability to do that. And yeah, it's just Canon gives you like the premium, big, super expensive, or cheap and like you're yourself lacking. I've been interested, like, what about the 24 to 240 they have? I've heard that there's some good copies of that. Like, that's kind of a one and done thing, but you're not gonna get a ton of separation. 24 to 240 plus the 51.8. That's a pretty affordable, like, travel option. That's not gonna break the bank, but it just seems limited. Like, what do I do with the 24 to 240 afterwards? Doesn't help with the sports thing. Certainly isn't a fantastically overly sharp landscape lens, or maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I know Canon also makes it 100 to 400. That's variable aperture, like f 4 point something or 5 something to 8 on the long end. It's also interesting, but you look at like Sony's overall flushed out E-mount lens lineup, and it's like, yeah, there's options in there for me that like fit what I need. Not super expensive, nice piece of glass with a decently fast aperture. That would be what I wanted. And Canon's lacking that for sure. And so I almost had the thought of like, hey, you know, for the 70 to 200 piece, since that is kind of limited to just my kids' sports and I won't be on the camera all the time, what if I went and adapted the EF mount 70 to 200 Tamron G2? I shot that on my Nikon adapted with the F to Z mount. And that lens did fantastic. I did my daughter's gymnastics with it. And so I would assume on this Canon it'd be just as good, if not better. So that's one thought, where I can buy those used for like $800, $700. You know, still lacking in the 24 to 70 range without going some big, heavy L glass. Even that Tamron G2 of that version is big. But then you're buying EF. You're buying EF glass, and you're in an RF mount. I don't know, maybe you guys think I'm crazy. You guys let me know in the comment section below, but I feel like Canon has a bit of an issue with their lens offering at the moment compared to Sony, for sure. I would even say Lumix has a better offering there. They have the Sigma L mount stuff. If you don't need constant autofocus, is where they struggle with the Sigma glass. Yeah, man, like the 35 f2 I thought was a very good piece of glass. They have a bunch of stuff there that rocks. If you want to carry a big beast around, I think they have an 85 1.4 that's just knocks people's socks off. But it's the one piece. It's the one piece that's a little bit interesting in the Canon aspect of things. I'm sure this will change over time, but right now, I'm not sure what piece of glass I want to bring to California in May, in Mexico in June, and I got camping trips. I want to do some landscape photography. What lens do I want to use for all that? Is it 24 to 105? I don't know. Comment section below, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. See ya.